Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from Deltiasgaming.com, here with a new video on how to set up your bar using a magic-based Templar. You want to watch this video if you're struggling or you need to learn basic mechanics on how to set up one bar to be effective in Elder Scrolls Online. So we're going to go through what I do step by step, whether it's leveling or endgame, and how I set up one bar based on the mechanics of how Elder Scrolls Online works. Let's get to it. So, you see Deltia here, my big old bad Templar at endgame, has all the fancy gear, all the bells and whistles. What we're going to do is strip him down, okay? We're going to start with the bare bones and talk about the basics of this game, which is one bar. That's what you get when you start out, so why not start there? So, one bar. The key aspect here is to understand how Elder Scrolls Online works, which is your light and heavy attack in this game are very effective. Not only does light attack and heavy attack do damage, but fully charging a heavy attack restores resources. Almost everyone knows this, but if you say it out loud, it does a lot of damage and restores a lot of resources at the same time. So really, with that just one attack, you have to have something that heals yourself, keeps yourself alive, because you could seriously get through a lot of the content in the game just holding down a heavy attack over and over and over and healing yourself. So I start with the Templar. Why do I always play the Templar? Why do I recommend it? It's because the class itself, the skill lines itself of the class, don't have to rely on weapons, alliance, Mages Guild, Sigil, and all these other things for range attacks, melee, and heals. It's all in the base class kit. Also, some of the most effective abilities of the Templar come right away. Look at this, Puncturing Sweeps. I'm going to get to in a minute. One of my favorite abilities, if not my favorite ability in the game. Honor the Dead. This is the morph of the base skill that's just a burst heal. So if you're a new player, I highly recommend picking up a Magic Templar. You get your heal right away, you get your damage ability right away, and some of the other things that come on later, you don't have to rely on the weapon-based skill lines. So if you want to use a sword and board and be a magic wielder, you can. Heck, you want to use a bow and put snipe on your bar and be a magic wielder, you can, and still be effective. So, let's get to it. So we got light and heavy attacks, just said that can get you through a lot. You need a heal. All of my characters, you watch all my streams, I have the 5 key. For whatever reason, the 5 key is my signal in my brain, heal, I'm in trouble. Heal, I'm in trouble, I hit 5. So if you're on a console, it's whatever key. But typically if you play a lot of characters, you're going to play this game over a lot of years, you want to put the ability that you go to when you're in pressure situations, when you need to help someone else out, when you need to heal, put it in the same spot so your brain can go, oh, I'm in trouble, and automatically know, am I on my Necro today? It's a 2. Am I on my Stam DK? It's a 3. Do I need to? Nope, it's the 5 key. And also, if you want to go even further, once you get back bar when you level up and you're playing at endgame, if you're still struggling, you're not that good at bar swapping, animation canceling, that's okay. What I tell people when I'm coaching them, look, put that skill, that your oh crap button on the 5 key, if you can't handle quick bar swaps, put it on both. That's better than dying over and over. So start with the basics. You gotta keep yourself alive. Moving on, you're keeping yourself alive, you're doing light and heavy attacks, well, you gotta kill stuff. You gotta kill it fast. So, Honor the Dead, powerful skill. You get it right away. What's next? Puncturing Sweeps. One of my favorite abilities in the game. I'm gonna summarize. Hits hard, AoE, snare, and it heals you for the amount of damage done. Not only is it a big area, big hitbox that it hits, but it heals you and deals damage. It's very, very effective for new players and old school players like me, because you don't have to rely on your heals or peeling off or line of sight or all the other tactics the other classes have to use, stealth and streak and vigor and not burst heals. You can really just kind of get in the fight, pressure, and as long as you're punching down the gas on this thing, do a couple heavy attacks in between to keep your resources up, it's a no-brainer. This is a fantastic skill. So we're going to put on our bar. Now, every other class has something similar. A lot of them are single target, but this is melee. It's also nice. Templar also has some ranged abilities as well that come really early on as well. So melee and range all in your class kit. You need to focus on what your class does well, both in terms of active abilities and passive. Let me explain. This is an Adric Spear skill, right? So Puncturing sweeps, Adric skill. Okay, Deltia, what are you going here? Let's just read. With an Adric Spear ability slotted, increase your crit damage by 10%. So, just having this on our bar is effective, okay? Keeps getting better. Gain minor protection when activating. So now, we're getting crit damage. Activating is making us a little stronger. And when you deal damage with an Adric Spear ability 4 times, you have a chance to do more damage. Great. Increases your weapon damage by 6. That's a passive you don't have to earn. So, 2 just good things for having this Adric Spear ability on our bar. One, when we use it in attack, it could hit really hard, and then just another one that we're going to want to max out anyways. So when you're building these characters, what separates the good, average, and the bad players is you can pick up a build from me, some other content creator, anyone, slap it on, but you're not going to be that effective unless you know exactly why those skills are playing off your passives, are playing off your weapons, your armor, your race, your champion points, your Mundus Stone. So take the time to read this stuff while you're leveling and not just look at some build guide like mine or someone else. You really need to understand the core mechanics of the game. You can have all the best in slot gear you want, gold out to the gills, all the mythics in the world. You follow the min-max guides to the nth degree, and you're still dying, you can't kill stuff. Because you got to work on the basics. The basics, the basics, the basics. Then once you get a hang of those things, then once you start golding out your gear, getting those mythics, getting those legendary, really hard to get items, you become ultra powerful. Don't forget the basics. Next up, I like to alternate skill basically that's going to be either defensive or resource intensive. Okay, so some classes have better resources because they have an active skill or their passives really allow them to regenerate resources very well. You got to figure out which is yours. It just so happens that the Templar has not only physical and spell resistance, so a defensive mechanism, but also a regeneration, magic regeneration. So it buffs us, makes us more tanky, and gives us more resources, right? So when you're building this 3 key, it's pretty nice to have either a defensive one. So if you're good on resources but you're kind of squishy, go with the defensive ability. Every class has one. Or if you're pretty tanky but you're just struggling with resources and you're not doing heavy attacks effectively, go with the resource one. Almost every class has one of those as well. That's our 3 key. Moving on is the 2 key. What I like to do here, if I just have one bar, is to use what the class has unique about it, right? When I think of a magic sorcerer, I think of one thing, and that's streak. When I think of a Nightblade, what do I think of? I think of shadowy disguise, sneaking away, right? When I think of a Sork, I'm thinking of lightning form, Stam Sork, lightning form. Whatever the class unique thing that makes that build or class special that no one else has access to, it's probably good to put on your bar. Another advantage of playing the other classes, whether you play them to endgame or just get a little flavor of them, you kind of learn what other classes' strengths and weaknesses are. And this can help you both in PvE and PvP because you can either play off their strengths and weaknesses or you can know what they're susceptible to. You can see and feel and hear the animations and be prepared for what's going to be coming next. So there's also a lot of value in dipping your toes in these other classes just for the awareness of what they can do. So for a Templar, Extended Ritual. This is one of my favorite abilities. It's a cleanse, so it gets rid of those really harmful effects. This can be a counter to a lot of classes that rely on dots, damage over time effects. It has a powerful synergy, has a little bit of healing with it. And so you can also use it as a mobility tool. When someone's trying to snare you and they're putting dots on you, the skill does cost lots. You want to use it somewhat sparingly. But if you use it right, well-timed, whether it's group, playing by yourself, you can be a lot more mobile, have a lot more heals, and really mitigate damage or reduce the damage taken because you're getting rid of those harmful effects before they have their chance to go over their whole duration. Fantastic ability. Last ability up, I like to go with something for mobility. Templar, a little bit slow for the magic class, unless you fully optimize the gear and then some of the other things. But we have Toppling Charge. Toppling Charge, Adric Spear ability again. It hits very hard, it's a stun, and it sets people off balance, allowing you to do essentially more damage. So, is it the best mobility? It's no streak, right? But you can get around the battlefield with it. The big downside here is sometimes the animation gets buggy, and then also sometimes, well, all the time, it requires you to have a target. So you have to have an enemy to leap to. Can't be a friendly, just can't just go forward and do like a super dash or like a streak or something. So there is a downside, and this is where the Templar lacks until you get some of the other class, outside class skill lines, like Sigic Order has a really good one that you can use. But this is just the basic fundamentals. Movement, what's unique about the class, resource or defensive, an attack, typically AoE if you can, most times single target, and a heal. That leaves the ultimate slot. So, ultimate, for those that don't know, generates slowly over time based on a few different factors. Think of it as your heavy hitter, your go-to when you're in trouble. Now, when I'm playing different classes, some of them early on have basically no healing capabilities. They're relying on a passive or an active skill or a weapon skill line, so it gets pretty dicey, and I'm having to chug down a lot of potions in between fights. In those cases, those classes or playstyles, I like to pick an ultimate that reacts as a defensive or a heal. That's going to allow me to get through a lot of content, just saving my ultimate for, oh crap, I don't have a heal yet, boop, ultimate. The vice versa is the Magicka Templar. Well, I have tons of heals, but I might not have a lot of massive AoE damage. So for this guy here, I'm going to use Dawn's Wrath Solar Prison. It's a massive conal. It reduces damage done by the enemies inside it. Has a very powerful synergy that your friends can activate. It's very, very powerful. So we're going to drop that down here. For people that are struggling with the Magicka Templar, you'll see me cheese this a lot of times on stream, whether it's PvP or PvE. I tell you what, people make fun of me for using this ability. Remember, it has got me through so much content. When I channel the sucker, it's going to be pretty hard to kill me. So if you're a newer player, you know, you struggle with maybe some of the keys, or you're getting pressure, you don't know what to do, click this puppy. For 4 seconds, you're probably not going to die. So what this allows you to do is think, okay, logically I have 4 seconds not to panic. It's going to allow me to get some resources back. It's going to allow me to think about what to do next. Also, you want to combine your ultimate. This is a little bit more advanced. You want to combine your ultimate with your potion, right? So 45-second cooldown roughly on a potion. You're going to pop that for health, right? And then, typically 45 seconds, a minute, minute and a half, if you're in active combat, you're going to have an ultimate, right? You're going to hit that for defensives. Guess what? A few seconds later, your potion's going to be back up. And so on and so forth. So if you watch me take a lot of pressure on stream in PvP, I'm running mental timers, basically going chug potion. Okay, now we got to get to an ultimate to survive. Ultimate, now we got to get to a potion to survive. Potion, and I'm just kind of doing this. So it's a lot to remember, and this is a little bit more advanced, but as you progress in the game and you get the basic fundamentals down of how to handle pressure, how to do damage, how to keep your resources up, how to stay mobile, then these tricks of the trade can take you to a very, very high level of proficiency at the game and ultimately enjoy it a lot more. So that's just a brief summary of a quick overview of one bar build for a Magicka Templar. If you like this type of content, you think it's useful, please leave me some comments, like the video, subscribe, hit them alerts. We got a lot of stuff coming. I would love to do more of these type of videos and explain these mechanics, because I think people worry too much about golden gear, about what the top end 1% player is running. And to tell you the truth, some of the best players I've ever played with run the goofiest builds. If I would post it on my website, you would laugh at me. Yet when I see these people in game, they are absolutely dominant, way better than me. Why? They've mastered their class. They do not need to rely on someone else for information. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, try it as a template. If it's not working, you're dying, you can't keep your resources up, you're struggling to do damage, you gotta tone it back, adjust what your strengths and weaknesses are, and rely on finding out what works best for you based on your strengths and weaknesses. Keep watching, lots of content coming. Let me know if you like it. Thanks.